Elianka greets you decorously with a nod, her gray mane sweeping forward. I knew you would return. No matter how much Galfrey coveted your fame, she is no match for you. I want to know more about you. Does my story matter? The only thing that matters is what's happening here and now at the camp of Mendev's Crusaders. What do you care about the past of a strange old woman, as long as she helps you honestly, seeking no profit? But you may ask. I won't withhold anything. Tell me about yourself. The old woman raises her chin proudly. My name is Elianka Camilleri. I come from a small but ancient Ustalav family. When I received Urgathoa's blessing, I was only 16. At the time, strange people used to come to our forest. They burned fire. We already heard all about this. And then she killed her family. Yeah. We heard about that. You serve the goddess of the dead. Why are you mortal? The old woman answers with ease, but there is bitter disappointment in her eyes. My time will come. One day I will become the daughter of Urgathoa, her adopted child. I will have the immortality and power promised to me. But for now, the goddess wants me to remain mortal. This way I can be of more use to the cult, as a messenger who spreads the wisdom of her church. If it were up to me, I would have let this grubby, sweat-reeking, disgusting mortal life many years ago. Why would I trust you? We already heard that. Are you comfortable with so many crusaders around you? I see why you're asking. Yes, our society suffered much from the actions of the Knights of Azam at the hands of crusaders of the Shining Crusade. But I believe that, thanks to you, everything will be different here. And if anything happens to me or my servants, you won't look the other way. I found out everything I wanted. I have no secrets from you. I came to help. May my sincerity confirm that. Tell me about the forces you represent. Do you mean Ustalav, or the Church of Urgathoa? Or, Elianka smiles, showing strong white teeth. Or do you want to know about the wisdom of the Whispering Way, which I have the honor of following? Tell me about the goddess Urgathoa. The Pallid Princess is the wisest of gods. Her power is based on a simple wisdom. Everything is doomed to die, so there is no point in restraining yourself while you are alive. They like to call her the Lady of Plague, the patron of undead, and it is true, but more importantly, she is the queen of pleasure, hedonism, and satiety. Our services to honor her are more luxurious than the most lavish feast, the wildest orgies. Unfortunately, there isn't a single nation in Avestan where worshipping Urgathoa is legal now. Even in Ustalav, it is officially frowned upon. But we, the matriarch priestesses of her church, remain steadfast, and our church has more followers than it seems. She is worshipped by mortals and those who have gained undeath. It's just that we are able to hide from the zealous eyes of our enemies. I want to know more about your homeland, Ustalav. Ustalav is a grim land, concealed by mist. Many are afraid of us, many plot against us. That is why we are harsh by nature and do not trust strangers. Ustalav is the place where they lock their shutters at night, where monsters roam the woods and cemeteries are unpeaceful. These lands used to belong to the Kellids, but then they were decimated by the Varisians. However, the true flourishing of Ustalav came with the rise of Tar-Baphon, the great wizard king who had lain dormant in that land. The Whispering Tyrant. He conquered Ustalav and ruled for 600 years until he was overthrown by crusaders of the Shining Crusade. Since then, Ustalav has declined under the care of our friendly neighbors from Lastwall. It is divided into weak counties, the rulers of which lead endless bloody dynastic wars. Right now, the Ordranti family is seen as the one in charge, but everything will change soon. We preserve the legacy of the Whispering Tyrant. We worship Urgathoa, although not in the open as before. We practice necromancy. We work toward the restoration of our homeland. Tell me about your doctrine, the Whispering Way. The ignorant think that it's named after the Whispering Tyrant, but that is incorrect. Tar-Baphon, the great wizard king, got his name when he became the leader of the Whispering Way. Our ideas are so old that their origin is lost in the darkness of time. We honor Tar-Baphon, but do not worship him. We are a secret society of those who have seen the truth. Our teaching is philosophical. It is passed in whispers by word of mouth, for it cannot be written, only told and felt with one's entire soul. We believe that undead are superior to mortals. Undeath is the truest and best form of existence. Eternity and invincibility, freedom from the fear of oblivion. They lift the spirit and allow one to achieve true greatness, whereas mortals, with their constant fear of dying, are just dumb cattle, fit only for food and slave labor. Our dream, our goal, and our guiding aspiration is the death of the entire world. Purification. Life will be an anathema, reviled by all. I want to know more about the Whispering Tyrant. No one knows where Tar-Baphon was born, but he was mortal, and he was a great necromancer. He took his power from the mighty rune lord Zutha and claimed for himself the Isle of Terror, the resting place of the black dragon Karamoros. He was a loyal follower of the Whispering Way. He was a conqueror and a genius. He challenged the god Rodin and perished in the fight. But it was part of his plan. After many centuries, he rose as a Lich, led an army of undead and orcs of Belskin, and conquered Ustalath. He killed Arazni, the herald of Eredin, and challenged him as well. The cowardly god hid behind the backs of his followers, knights of the Shining Crusade. They could not kill Tar-Baphon, for his phylactery is hidden safely by the goddess Urgathora herself. Then they used the Great Seal, imprisoning the Whispering Tyrant in his capital. But 2 out of the 3 lesser seals holding him have been removed, and Eredin, his eternal adversary, is dead. We believe that it was Tar-Baphon who finally won their fight, and the return of our leader is closer than ever. Everything is clear. I was happy to share my knowledge, Commander. I have to go. Be careful, Commander. Enemies, hate mongers, and lying advisors are everywhere. We, practitioners of the art of death, should always expect an attack. Septimus greets you with a gracious bow. Commander, I had no doubt that Queen Galfrey's mission was well within your abilities. Tell me about yourself. You are probably wondering about my appearance. It seems ill-suited for my high status, does it not? Don't be fooled. I am much older than I look, but the blessing of my vampire powers froze my appearance in the flow of time. Here in Avestan, it might seem strange, but in my homeland, it is quite ordinary. How did you become a vampire? Painful regret seeps into the vampire's voice. When I was 18, I took we already read this. Tell me, what is it like to be a vampire? It's difficult to describe. On the one hand, it is a wonderful existence. Immortality, freedom from diseases and bodily ailments. If I hadn't become a vampire, I would have died when I was only 18. Or perhaps I would have died at the paltry age of 70, of old age, if I had been miraculously cured of my disease. But now I have all of eternity stretching out before me, with its riddles and intricate stories. But it means I am going to have to fight my hunger for eternity, the horrible, destructive passion that turns a reasonable, civilized being into an animal. The hunger sadly pushes too many into a cruel, barbaric way of life, or convinces them that they are better than mortals because they feed on their blood. I do not think so. I prefer satisfying my hunger with those who gave me their blood voluntarily. It is not that difficult if you are not arrogant and show a little tact. I am proud of the fact that I have never taken someone else's blood against their will, except in battle. What is it like for you as a vampire to be among the Crusaders? I can't say I don't feel a threat, but our common enemy brings us closer. I've always believed that conflict with a true enemy, one that is dangerous and equally reviled by all, will allow the living and the undead to overcome their barriers that divide them. Everything is clear. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. I want to know more about your homeland, Geb. Geb is a country where the living and the dead coexist. It is the birthplace of a great philosophy that reconciled the two sides. We are a peaceful nation, devoid of the cruel grimness of Ustalath, and we don't keep secrets from friends. Ask whatever you wish. I want to know more about your nation's history. Our nation was created by Osirians in the southern part of Garund. From the time it was founded, it had been led by Geb, the necromancer who gave the country its name. The art of death has always thrived in our nation. We have studied it and perfected it. That is what led to the war between Geb and Nex, the neighboring country which was also governed by a wizard. The conflict escalated into a series of magical cataclysms that destroyed both sides. Geb was destroyed and most of its population chose undeath as the only way to be saved and survive. However, over many years we managed to rebuild our culture. Geb is still our leader, although now he is a ghost and little interests him. A council of blood lords oversees the country's politics and laws of the dead, and they answer directly to Geb. Below the blood lords are free subjects, living and undead, and lower still are the slaves, mostly dead slaves. Every being who dies in Geb is raised as undead by law, turning them into cattle. It may seem a cruel violation of the right to peace after death, but there are a great many plantations in Geb, and you won't find a single mortal working on them. Instead, there are zombies who don't care about heated fatigue. Isn't that more humane? Those who do not wish to become slaves after death take care in advance to pass it to undeath with the help of a vampire, a ghoul, or a mummy so they can keep their mind. We are a peaceful, thriving nation, not an evil one. We just live and grow. We continue to research the art of death and venerate gods that patronize it. Yes, including Urgathoa, although to my mind she is one of the least deserving deities. Tell me what you believe in. We in Geb believe in coexistence. Mortals and undead can live together if they forget the religious controversies dividing them and make peace with the fact that their neighbor is different from them. In Geb, everyone obeys one set of rules, the laws of the dead. No one can be forcibly killed or raised as undead. Undead cannot be forcefully exiled and unmade. The first generation of Geb's dead became that way not voluntarily, but as a result of a monstrous magical war. They just wanted to continue normal life, and they succeeded. We created a country in which being alive or dead is not shameful or criminal. Your country must have many enemies. This is true. We are used to hostility. We are surrounded by enemies, despite the fact that we do no one any harm. They harry us constantly with raids, but that is nothing compared to the time we suffered at the hands of Crusaders. At one time, the Knights of Ozan brought all the might of the Shining Crusade to bear against us. They went to the trouble of crossing half the world to attack a country that had done no wrong to them. Geb was furious. He sent his servants to Last Wall to steal the remains of our Rosni, the Herald of Eredin, and her knights. The Knights of Ozan were beside themselves, but it was too late. Our Rosni and our knights were raised and became our mighty shield against their unprovoked aggression. Now Rosni, who calls herself the Harlot Queen, is a political leader in Bloodlord circles. I hope the Crusaders of Avestan learned their lesson. Geb is a peaceful country, but not one to pick a quarrel with. How do I know you're not spies? Geb is far away. It makes no sense for us to harm you. On the contrary, we hate demons and respect leaders who don't shy away from the forbidden practices of necromancy. Why would we plot against you? I have no more questions. I was happy to gratify your curiosity, Commander. I think you would like Geb. I have to go. The vampire gives you a respectful nod. I dare not distract you, Commander. I know how precious a powerful person's time can be.